Welcome to World Insight. Please subscribe and hit the bell icon for more breaking updates. The world often finds its leaders not in times of calm, but in moments of profound uncertainty and upheaval, when the path forward seems unclear and the stakes are higher than ever. In these unpredictable times, history has shown that new leaders can emerge from the shadows, often when they are least expected, and change the course of nations. On April 28, 2025, as the world grappled with economic instability, rising authoritarianism, and fractured alliances, Canada made a defining choice that would echo far beyond its borders. The election of Mark Carney was more than a domestic shift in power, it was a bold, unmistakable statement to the world that Canada was ready to step up and lead. Carney, renowned for his global financial expertise and steady hand during past crises, entered the political arena at a time when the United States, under President Trump, was turning inward, retreating from its traditional leadership role. Canadians, facing a world increasingly defined by populism and nationalism, made a conscious decision to reject isolation and fear, choosing instead a path of openness, engagement, and hope. Carney's campaign promise, "If the United States no longer wants to lead, Canada will," resonated deeply, transforming into a rallying cry for a nation eager to fill the leadership vacuum on the world stage. This marked the arrival of a new, assertive Canada, one determined to defend multilateralism, champion global cooperation, and stand up for the values of democracy and human rights. Meanwhile, the United States, once the architect and guardian of the post-war international order, now seemed to threaten the very foundations it had helped build, leaving allies searching for new partners. Carney's victory sent a powerful signal to allies and adversaries alike. The principles of free trade, democracy, and international cooperation still had a determined champion in the global arena. For Europe and Asia, Carney's rise offered a glimmer of hope, a chance to forge a new coalition committed to upholding the rules-based system and resisting the tide of division. Canada's new era would be defined not just by its proximity to the United States, but by its unwavering commitment to global engagement, diplomacy, and principled leadership. The world watched with anticipation as Canada, under Carney's leadership, prepared to defend its values and take on a greater role on the international stage. In this pivotal moment, the battle for the future of the West, and the principles that define it, had truly begun. The first test of Carney's resolve came swiftly, challenging not just his political acumen, but his vision for Canada's future. As he stepped into the role of Prime Minister, the world watched closely, wondering how he would handle the mounting pressures from south of the border. On May 6, 2025, Carney traveled to Washington for a high-stakes meeting with President Trump, aiming to address escalating trade tensions that threatened to disrupt the economies of both nations. The atmosphere was tense, with both leaders aware that the outcome could reshape the relationship between Canada and the United States for years to come. In a stunning and unexpected moment, Trump went beyond trade, suggesting that Canada should consider becoming America's 51st state, a proposal that shocked diplomats and sent ripples through the international community. Carney's response was immediate and unwavering. With cameras rolling and reporters hanging on every word, he declared, "Canada is not for sale, not now, not ever." His words echoed across the continent, leaving no room for doubt about his stance. He made it abundantly clear that Canada would not be bullied, bought, or coerced, defending the nation's sovereignty before a global audience. Carney's message was not just for Trump, but for every nation watching. Canada's independence was not up for negotiation. This confrontation was no longer about tariffs or trade deals. It had become a battle over national identity, pride, and the right to self-determination. Canadians from coast to coast rallied behind their leader, united in defense of their country's autonomy. While Trump viewed Canada as a potential subsidiary, Carney drew a bold line in the sand, refusing to let the nation's future be dictated by outside interests. The confrontation set the tone for a new era in Canada-US relations, one defined by assertiveness and a renewed sense of national purpose. Carney's public defiance sent a powerful signal to Canadians in the world. Independence was non-negotiable, and Canada would chart its own course no matter the pressure. The immediate trade issues remained unresolved, but Carney had secured a crucial political victory, earning respect both at home and abroad for his principled stand. He demonstrated that Canada had a leader willing to stand up to immense pressure, even when the stakes were at their highest. The world took notice. Canada would not be a vassal state, and its voice would be heard on the international stage. The stage was set for further confrontations, and for Canada's new assertive voice to shape its destiny in a rapidly changing world. The rift between Ottawa and Washington was on full display at the G7 summit in Kananaskis. President Trump's disruptive presence overshadowed the meeting, derailing discussions on climate and inequality. He pushed for Russia's return, met with silence, then abruptly left the summit. The G7 became the G6, America's chair empty, its commitment in question. Carney rallied the remaining leaders, forging unity and a joint communiqué reaffirming multilateral values. The summit became a defining moment. The U.S. was no longer a reliable partner. Carney's leadership was praised as he held the G6 together. The image of 6 leaders united in the Rockies sent a powerful message: multilateralism would endure, even as America walked away. With the U.S. growing increasingly unpredictable as a partner, Canada faced a stark new reality. The long-standing trust and economic reliance on its southern neighbor could no longer be taken for granted. Recognizing the urgency, Mark Carney launched a bold and strategic pivot in both foreign and economic policy, signaling a new era for the country. This initiative, known as the Global Pivot, was designed to diversify Canada's trade relationships and international alliances, opening doors to new opportunities and reducing the risks of overdependence. By actively seeking alternatives, Canada aimed to reduce its economic vulnerability to shifts in the American market and political climate. Carney prioritized strengthening ties with the European Union, forging new trade agreements and building bridges with European leaders. These efforts expanded not only trade but also collaboration on security, defense, and innovation, ensuring Canada's voice was heard on the world stage. Looking further east, Canada deepened its partnerships with Japan, recognizing the country as a key ally in both economic and technological spheres. The pivot also included forging closer ties with South Korea and Australia, nations that shared Canada's democratic values and commitment to stability. These moves were about more than just economics. They represented a deliberate alignment with stable democracies, reinforcing Canada's place among trusted global partners. The ultimate goal was clear: to embed Canada in a resilient network of prosperity and security, one that extended far beyond Washington's reach and influence. The old certainties that once defined Canada's foreign policy were gone, replaced by a world in flux and new challenges on every front. In this environment, standing still was not an option. Adaptation and forward thinking became essential for survival. The global pivot was about securing Canada's future in a world where its closest ally could no longer be relied upon, and where new partnerships would define the nation's path. It was a long-term, essential project, one that demanded vision, resilience, and a willingness to embrace change for the sake of national survival and success. Carney's government was determined to see this ambitious transformation through, forging a new future for Canada on the global stage. Tensions with Washington reflected a deeper global transformation, one that would reshape the world order. The U.S. retreat from leadership created a power vacuum, leaving nations scrambling for new alignments and new sources of stability. Emerging powers like Indonesia and traditional allies like Australia were rethinking their positions and weighing their options. Multilateral institutions faltered as America's commitment waned, leaving uncertainty in their wake. The Western alliance fractured, each nation seeking its own path and forging new priorities. Escalating Middle East tensions underscored the dangers of a leadership void, threatening global stability. In this turbulent world, Carney positioned Canada as a principled, reliable partner for those who still believed in rules over force and chaos. Carney's global pivot was matched by a domestic agenda to build a resilient, independent Canada. The government pledged to boost military spending and reduce reliance on U.S. defense procurement. Investments in infrastructure aimed to strengthen internal trade and reduce vulnerability to U.S. border policies. Public investment targeted key sectors like AI, clean tech, and advanced manufacturing. The goal, a diversified, innovative economy less dependent on the U.S.-Canada, was not turning inward, but building strength to be a more effective global actor. The comfortable assumptions of the past were gone. Canada was preparing to meet the challenges of a new era. The Carney Doctrine marked one of Canada's most ambitious foreign policy shifts. Carney's credibility and defiance of Trump reshaped Canada's global image. But ambition faces limits. Canada's military and economy remain deeply tied to the U.S. building. New alliances will take years. The future of global governance is uncertain, with forums like the G20 testing whether progress is possible without US leadership. Canada's role: coalition builder, diplomatic bridge, advocate for the rules-based order. Success won't mean replacing the US, but building a durable coalition for multilateralism and democracy. Carney has set Canada on a bold new course. He offers an alternative to nationalism and isolation. In a fractured world, that's the leadership the international community needs.